go to World War II as soon as I turned 18 years old. I had to go register, and 3 months later I was called up and went to Fort Sill, Oklahoma. I was there about 2 weeks, and during that time we were in boot training. And first thing I knew, I was loaded on a truck and taken in to another area in the camp, and it was 619th Engineers. And that's they told me that Air Force was full, and the engineers needed more men, so that's why they taken me there. So from then on, I was in the 619th Engineers, and finished my boot training there. And in December, just before Christmas, we were loaded on a train and taken to Camp Stoneman in San Francisco, California. And we were there about 2 weeks. And from there, we were loaded onto a troop ship and headed for the Pacific. At the beginning of the trip, there was not only me, but there was hundreds of the soldiers that really got seasick. And that lasted for about a week. And we were 30 days on the troop ship getting to Finch Haven, New Guinea. That was our first landing. On the way, we was in sight of Honolulu, Hawaii. And we could see the town and the beach and everything as we went by. But anyway, we landed in Finch Haven, New Guinea, and there we built roads and did dirt work mostly. And we were there not more than probably 6 months. And then we were loaded up and headed to the East Indies, a little island called Numanfor. It was 7 miles wide and 14 miles long. And there we built a double airstrip where the first bombing of Borneo was made from, with the Liberator airplanes and P-38s flying to protect them. And when we first got there, the Marines and the infantry had just gone in the day before, so with the island not being very big, our worry was snipers that were always working, especially on the night shifts, because our equipment had lights on them to see what she's doing. But anyway, from there then, we went to Leyte in the Philippines the day after MacArthur and his force landed and started pushing them back in the mountains. And there we built airstrips, and we had a rock crusher, and we crushed rock for the roads, and we built roads, and we got most of our rock by a machine called a drag line with a bucket on it, about a 5-ton bucket, and we got the gravel out of the bottom of the river, and we worked at that for probably a month or so, getting enough gravel to crush and put on the roads. And there we probably had the most disturbance from the Japanese. They'd fly over and drop a few bombs here and there, and we were lucky we never was hit by one. And then one night, while I was on detached service, running the machine, getting the gravel out of the river, about 9 o'clock at night, some paratrooper planes from the Japanese came over, and they actually didn't do any damage because they had spotlights on them, and they were shooting the Japanese people in the air coming down the parachutes. So not many of them got to the ground. The ones that did, it was rounded up pretty quick. And the radio, if you ever had the opportunity to listen to it, was a lady called Japanese Rose. And she was warning the troops to go home. If we wanted to live, we needed to get out of there and go home, that they was going to take Leyte back over. One night on Newman 4, they took me out in the jungle part to clear an area for a new camp that was coming in. And they said that the fuel truck would be by in a little bit to refuel it, my D8 tractor, dozer. Anyway, it was dark. I was on swing shift, midnight shift. So it was dark when I got there, 12 o'clock. And I run the dozer for probably hour and a half, and it just died. It was out of fuel. The truck never did come, never came at all. So I was sitting on that dozer, and I said, well, this is probably the wrong place to be. So I found a stump that hadn't been dozed up yet, a large stump. So I took my carabine rifle and went and sat by that stump till daylight. And when the next shift came on, 8 o'clock the next morning. And it was a pretty scary time because I couldn't see very far, and of course they couldn't either, you know. But they could have possibly come and hand grenade the dozer to destroy it or something, and they might have even seen me. Who knows, you know. But it was a scary time. You know, a lot of bad things you seen while you was there. I used to, in our first camp where we moved from on account of the water, the road was just right there next to the camp. And if you was outside, there was trucks all day long going by, and you could see the shoes of our men stacked on top of each other, truckload of them, dead. And that was very disturbing. And they took us to Okinawa. And Okinawa had just been cleared from the beach, and it wasn't a good scene. There was dead Japanese on the beaches, laying in the water, floating in the water, all the way from the ship to the camp we was going to set up. But far as being threatened by snipers or anything, we had less worry there than we did other places. So I was there until I got to come home, which was January of '46.
It was sad, it was, because that's the first time they'd ever been away from home, you know, more or less. I think he left first, and then Brother Jay left second.
One of my best buddies over there was Gene Daly, and he was probably in his 40s. Old enough to be my dad, really. And he just kind of took me under the wing, and every once in a while he'd let me have the seat and showed me how to operate the drag line.
Well, I'll tell you, my mother, of course, she hated to see him go, but she understood. She knew that he had to go because everybody else did at that age. And she put a lot of prayers up for him. She was on her knees and prayed a lot for all of us. And I'm sure that's what kept him safe over, instead of maybe something bad happening to him.
The letters was always appreciated. It's the only way you heard any news from back home, you know. But Mother was very good. She wrote every week, and I answered her letters. So I was writing about every week also. I never was really afraid. We go back to my mother. I always had my mother on mine, and I knew she was praying for me. And that helped a lot. So I made it home safe.